Yarny.
Hi, welcome to another Yarny video. I have a question for you. Do you get confused by crochet patterns? Well, I'm going to teach you the basics of how to read crochet patterns and essential tips and tricks for success. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced crocheter, this video will help you understand how to read a crochet pattern and take your skills to the next level. Make sure you hit that like button below the video because I know you're going to take away a few new tips. So crochet is the process of creating fabric by interlocking yarns or thread using a crochet hook. Most of us know that. Crochet patterns provide instructions for creating a particular design or stitch pattern, including the type of yarn, hook size, and stitches required. Generally, a pattern will tell you the hook size and yarn weight, but I actually did a recent video on matching yarn weight with your hook size that you can also check out. I'll be linking that video in the description down below. Most patterns are broken down into sections that are easy to follow. The first section will typically include information on the materials needed, such as the type of yarn, hook size, and any additional tools required. The next section will be the instructions for the stitch pattern, followed by any special instructions such as increases or decreases. One thing I want you to remember is that it's crucial to read the pattern carefully before starting, ensuring you understand each section and that you're familiar with the stitches before moving on. I like to read the entire pattern through to make sure I understand it and see if there are any problem areas. If you're unsure about a particular abbreviation, term, or stitch, do a little research to gain a better understanding. Now, let's take a look at the language in crochet. There are two major types of language you are going to see in crochet patterns, the US and UK terms. First, let's look at the US terms. The table below will show you some common abbreviations and their meanings. As you can see, we have the chain, the single crochet, the double crochet, the treble crochet, the stitch, yarn over, slip stitch, increase, and decrease. You don't need to remember all of this because the pattern will provide a legend of all the abbreviation used in a specific project. Now, moving on to the UK terms. So the UK crochet terms have some similarities with US terms, but also has differences, and these can be confusing at times. For example, the UK calls a double crochet for the US single crochet. The treble crochet in UK terms means the double crochet in US terms. The half treble crochet in UK term means the US half double crochet. There are a few other differences, and generally it is best to read if a pattern is in US or UK terms before starting. If it doesn't state it is in UK terms, then generally this means it will just be in the US terms. Another thing to note is that a pattern can be worked in rows. For example, if you want to make a scarf and you're simply adding row by row until you reach the desired length of a scarf. Or in rounds, if you're doing a ball, for example, and you're crocheting around a foundation circle or a magic ring. Now, let's look at an example of a snippet of a written pattern and how to read it. So for this foundation circle, we know that we will be working in rounds because we are starting with a circle and not rows. It starts with 6 chains. What the pattern doesn't say is that before you start your chain, you will do a slip knot. It will depend on the designer of the pattern, but if it doesn't mention the slip knot before the chains in a foundation chain or foundation circle, this means that the designer simply assumes you already know that a slip knot is the starting point of a chain. Then, this foundation circle simply wants you to join your last chain, which is the 6th chain, with your first chain with a slip stitch in order to form a circle. Now let's look at round 1. So when you move onto a new round or a new row, you always carry on from the last stitch you did from the last round or last row you did. So for round 1, carrying on from your last stitch from the foundation circle, you will now do 3 chains. Then you will do 2 double crochet in the foundation circle. Now you notice there's an asterisk before the next stitches. Then it mentions repeat from asterisk 2 times. This simply means that you will do the stitches mentioned after the asterisk 2 times. So basically, you will do 3 chains, then you will do 3 double crochet in the foundation circle. This is your first time doing the stitches after the asterisk. So now you have to do it a second time, which means you will again do 3 chains and then do 3 double crochet in the foundation circle. This is simply a way to shorten the pattern writing for the designer. So after that, you will do 3 chains and finish the round with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain of the first chain 3 you did at the beginning of round 1 to join the row. Most of the time, you will also encounter a number in parentheses at the end of each round or rows. For example, like this here. The number 12 in the parentheses after round 1 simply means the number of stitches you should have in total after you complete round 1. And in this case, it means that after you have done increased stitches 6 times, you should have 12 stitches in total. For round 2, you are doing a single crochet in the first stitch and an increase in the second stitch. And you're doing this combination within the parentheses of single crochet followed by an increase 6 times, which will result in you having 18 stitches in total after round 2. Remember that the times 6 is a shortcut for the designer. Instead of writing increase 6 times like this, or single crochet, increase, etc. like this, it's a lot faster to shortcut by adding times 6. The number in the parentheses at the end of a round or a row is generally a good indicator on whether you're on the right track or not. I like to take the habit of counting my stitches after each row or round. Remember, in order to make pattern reading easy, always tackle the pattern step by step, little by little. In each row or round of a pattern, every step is generally separated by a comma. If a designer wants you to repeat a specific step, they generally put these steps into asterisks or parentheses. So what can you do to improve your pattern reading skills? Well, here are some essential tips and tricks for reading crochet patterns. Number 1, start by practicing with simple patterns. Beginners should start with a simple pattern that uses basic stitches. This will help build confidence and understanding of crochet patterns. Only bite off what you can chew, as the saying goes. I know back when I started out, my first month was very simple projects. Now in my crochet journey, I can read any pattern. Number 2, use a stitch marker. A stitch marker can be a useful tool when working with crochet patterns. It is my favorite way to help keep track of stitches. Number 3, keep track of your rows or rounds. It is essential to keep track of your rows or your rounds when working with a crochet pattern. Make a note of how many rows or rounds you've completed to ensure your work is consistent to the crochet pattern. It's no fun to lose count and second guess yourself. Number 4, practice consistently. Practice makes perfect when it comes to reading crochet patterns. Set aside time each week to practice reading and following patterns, and you'll soon become a professional. You can also subscribe to the Yarny channel and we can work through patterns together. Lastly, color coding. Color coding your pattern can help keep track of different sections or stitch patterns. Use different colored highlighters or pens to highlight each section. So learning how to read a crochet pattern may seem a little daunting at first, but with practice and patience, you can become a professional. Start with simple patterns, read the pattern carefully, and you are going to make some awesome projects. Head over to the Yarny website for a nice octopus pattern, or if you like follow-alongs, we have tons of tutorials on the Yarny channel, like this baby beanie tutorial here. If you haven't already completed it, please make sure to check it out. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon.